So what we're going to do now is a Christmassy face. And I try and get in as much as I can without overcrowding it. So I'm going to try and get some holly and some yew and maybe some mistletoe, yeah, and maybe some ribbons and things like that. So I put a sort of sparkly, princessy white base on. So my favourite sparkly white base is either DFX metallic white or chameleon metallic white, but others are available. So, and I like to do a white because then the green and red stand out well against it. Gives it that nice Christmassy feel. Sparkly one. You don't have to do the whole face. Sometimes it's fine to just do the top half and the eyes. I sometimes get some gold in as well, and she's got lovely brown eyes, so I might put some gold sort of eyeshadow effect. The advantage of the sparkle white, metallic white, is it's very easy to blend. It's very forgiving. Even if you can't go close to the eyes, you can hardly see where, you know, skin starts, paint finishes. Lovely. That's great. And I'm going to put, again, try and get a bit closer up under the eyes. So look up to the ceiling for me. Just look up. That's it. Stay looking up. Right up. Right up there. That's it. And trying to get close under. It really does help if you can. And Nadia's old enough for that, so she's okay. Brilliant. That's lovely. All done. Now I'll add a bit of colour. So I'm going to put a bit of gold. Bit of my Kryolan Interference Bronze, which is a lovely colour. Shut your eyes very softly. That's perfect. Just over the eyes there a bit. It's quite nice to use green even sometimes. And I'll also give her a bit of rosy cheeks, as it's winter. So again, just a soft touch. That's maybe a little bit wet. If it's too wet, just knock it off on your hand, because we don't want lines. I've got the white there, so I can blend the white back in to soften it off if I put too much on. Let's have a look. Oh yes, that's quite nice. Lovely. And the gold goes very well with the dark brown eyes. I'm actually going to put a touch of slightly darker brown. So I'm using Rose Sugar. It's a chameleon make. I've got so many different makes here. Just on the edge. So like where you might put eyeshadow. So shut your eyes very softly again. We'll just run it on the edge of the outer edge of the eye. And again on this side. And I've got my gold there, so I can blend that in again if I've left too hard a line. Wonderful. That goes really well with the brownie eyes. Now I tend to give myself some guidelines. So I'll get a dark brown rather than a black. Just a little bit more forgiving for the branches in effect. So I might take some holly from here. And another one there. Like that. So that's my starting point for the holly. I'll do the same for the yew trees. And yew trees are sort of much stiffer, straighter branches. So I might do one there, one there. I can put my yew there, it's a stray hair. And then I'll have some mistletoe probably in the middle here. So for my holly, I'm going to use a 1-stroke. I'm using a small, I think this is a 3/8. It's actually an American painter, but there's lots of other makes. And I need just 2 greens. So I'm using a split cake here. Make sure it's got a light and a dark green in it. Try and get that high contrast. So the tip, the longest brush, this is an angle brush, the longest is picking up the darker colour. When I do holly, I always make sure I've got a curved rib, and then you can create the shape with the one stroke. And if you always have a curve to start with, it's much prettier than a straight line. And I don't even worry if there's little holes there, you can fill them in, or with a dark line afterwards go over that. So another one here. Sort of overlap a bit, it's quite nice. So that's I find a really quick way to do holly leaves. Take another one down here as well. Try and get nice sharp points to it. And then with the dark edge, you can actually run a rib through the middle if you want, if there's time, depending on the job. And that gives it a bit more definition. Then I'll get I've got another American painter here. This is much broader. This is a 3/4 inch. And I'm going to use a slightly different green. This has got some blue on the edge. I don't want much blue, but just a little bit. So I'm just running through, picking most of it up with just greens. It'll have a hint of the blue, so it will make another green, but it'll be different from this side. That's what I want to try and create here. And this is a matter of using the chisel edge, the sharp edge of the brush. And sometimes I start with the dark in the middle, sometimes dark on the outside, you know. Just doing this, sort of jabbing away. And then swap it a little bit so it's a bit more, a bit varied. They're not all facing the same way, these bits of yew. And vary them, as I say, different angles. It starts to look a bit more realistic. Twizzle your head around a little bit. Good girl. Thank you. It's a bit straight, that one. Let's vary it a bit more. So that's a bit of yew there. And then for my mistletoe, I want a light green with a sort of hint of, but a different green again. So I'm actually going to go for a metallic. Just going to have a quick drink. So I'm going for a very light metallic green. And going to add, I think actually, let's just try it like this, see what we get. So I want a few different angles. So I want a bit of mistletoe as its centre. Scoop it round like that. And then another, just a vague mistletoe-y shape. I think we'll have another piece coming over here. Cross that one over. I know they're crossing over, but never mind, that's okay. And then I'll get some, what we're going to go for now, I think it's time to add our red, for the red berries. So I want a good solid, again a flat red, this one is global, but it could be DFX or something like that, to make some red berries. So I'll put 1, 2 and 3 there, and I might put one at the end here. Another one there, here. Drop them around a bit. It's quite fun just to put them at the end sometimes. I think I might have one little one there. And the yew berries, they're more elliptical with a hole on the end. So I kind of do a U shape. Or even 2 little teardrops. That leaves a shape at the little hole in the middle. Let's have 1 here maybe. Okay, you're sitting brilliantly, Nadia, thank you. Then we need some black, a tiny brush. So now I'm going to do some lowlights. If you do lowlights, you've always got to have highlights. So we're going to do lowlights in black. Obviously in true art, you would use all the different shades of dark green all the way through to light green, but when you're face painting, it's all a matter of speed. So low lights, always imagine the light is coming from above. So I'm going to low light under everything, underneath, under the berry. That'll be white along that top, under here. And also you can give a little line along the rib under that berry. And there. On the whole, I use my little finger to support. But when you have a really good model like Nadia, you hardly need to. Chin up slightly for me, that's brilliant, thank you. So that in itself defines it by just putting the black underneath. It's a little bit I can get under there and here. Always try and get a fine line at the very end, whatever you're doing. Okay, now the other side. Oh yes, so these yew berries have got a hole in the middle. And then I can shade under. It's always under, under, under. And I can even go under the mistletoe. And then, yeah, I don't usually bother shading the yew, but you can add a few little strokes like that, which just maybe gives a little bit more definition. I think that helps a bit. Then we need the highlights. So I've done the lowlights. Now we'll get the highlights in. So I use my line white for this. And on the berries, chin up again slightly for me, Danny. Good girl. So a little dot on the top of those, or a little line, add a bit of curvature to it. This is more like a dotter, this particular brush, so it's not so good for lining the holly. I'll do that with a different one, but it's okay for doing mistletoe, so highlight the top of the mistletoe. That gives that a bit of definition. And again, on the yew, twizzle your head this way a little bit, well done. Across the top there. Actually, there's not much paint left on it, so it probably managed now. So I'm highlighting the top of the holly leaves. And again, you can highlight the rib. Where else here? Let's have a look at you. Oh, and of course the mistletoe has very light green, almost whitey light green berries. I'll put some of those in. That's a bit of variation. And I'm just going to add a few little ribbon effect, I suppose. Yeah, okay? Very good. Just a few wavy lines. Twizzle that way again, good girl. And then we'll do some red lips. I'm not going to use that solid red. I'll use a metallic, slightly more forgiving again on younger children. So again, when you're doing lips, try and do it in the fewest possible strokes. So it's just the point into the corner, lay it across the lip and pull across. And again, into that corner, push up onto the Cupid's bow and across. Right, look at me again. That's lovely. Right, let's have a bit of glitter. Use a bit of gold on this, I think. A little bit of gold glitter, lightly. Not too much. And I think I need a little bit of low lighting just under that mistletoe berry. I've actually used a dark green under here. Let's have a look. Very sweet. And I think a tiny bit highlight on there, and I think we're almost done. Twist all round again. Gorgeous. Now if this was an adult, I'd probably do eyeliner, but she doesn't really need it, I don't think. I think we're there. Do you want to have a look in the mirror? See what you think. What do you think? Yeah. Which bit do you like best? The holly. You like the holly, do you? Yeah. Okay. Good. There you are. You look at the camera then.